by Belquist, and he does an inverted twist. Is he in? He is. Touchdown, Bo Belquist, and that could be your Tiger. Simon Rumfo has it. Simon inside the 5. Sis boom ball. Simon Rumfo, his second touchdown today.
UND Football 360.
Isaiah trying to get outside, a stiff arm, shuts him down, 20, inside the 15, down to the 13-yard line. Oh, that right arm, that stiff arm, and the book of Isaiah has given North Dakota a first down.
Analysis, commentary, news, and a look ahead. It's all things UND football. This is the UND Football 360 podcast with your hosts Kelly Howe, Matt Nelson, and Dave McNamara.
Well, what did we learn last week? What will this week look like? UND returns home this week for the season home opener, where we have not lost since 1986. And that's a good feeling, guys.
We were talking off the air, Tank. We were both there.
We were
at that game. I remember it. Is this? Yeah. Nice. I remember beautiful. I was just a kid. What was I? 9 years old probably at the time.
1986. I was born in 77. So young buck up there, but watched a lot of games up there in that
remember
the
guy went loose on us. We talked about this in the past years. Johnny Bailey from Texas A&I at the time, I believe, and they became Kingsville, right?
Yeah, they did. I think that's where is that where Johnny Randall played as well?
Yeah. Darryl Green, I think, too. I think he was there. Yeah,
good football factory.
Yeah, I think it was, what was it, 62-45? Something like that is what it ended up. It was a wild one. And that was in UND's days when they were throwing it. They were old school, kind of an Air Coryell type thing when San Diego Chargers were doing it. UND decided to do that with Corey Wall and the guys back in the day. And yeah, it was a fun game to be at. I remember it, but wasn't good for UND because Johnny Bailey was a little too much for us, Tank.
Yeah, everybody remembers that name from that era. So hopefully it's a better outcome this week. We haven't lost. Yeah, hard to believe 1986 was the last. What do you think has been the key for home openers for UND?
Well, combination, I don't know, man. Combination of typically a home opener might not be the strongest game of the year, whereas this year it's the exact opposite of that. But I mean, it's just
I can't remember a time when we've played a top 5 team in the country, because what's Montana, 4 right now?
Yeah,
4.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't, in recent memory, we haven't played a top 5 team in either D2 era or in the Division 1 area. The first game when I was up there, it was, we played Crookston and
Moorhead.
Yep. The first game of the season. So, more of like a scrimmage atmosphere, but I mean, it counted as a game, but kind of knew the outcome of it. And
I really liked that home we did with Bemidji that one year.
Yeah. That was kind of cool.
I think that was probably mid to late 90s.
I think that was my freshman year, first year on campus. We were at Bemidji.
Yeah.
And then, they weren't
obviously
game,
what they
beautiful
are now. Setting.
I
heard. Yeah. My folks were at that game.
Yeah. It was beautiful. And then they came back, and it was good to do that. But yeah, that led to it a little bit, it's just playing a team you can beat, but you still got to win them. And it doesn't always work out that way.
Let's talk about, do you guys like the evening kickoff, 6 o'clock kickoff for the home opener?
Yeah. Yes. Love it. I'm glad they changed it up. They tried something new. Tailgating will be a different atmosphere than normal, just because people can get all their stuff out of the way. Youth football will be done for the day. I like it. I mean, kudos to the athletic department for trying something new. And the other thing where I don't feel bad about it for as far as Montana goes and stuff is we had to fly out west in the big sky for 6 o'clock kickoffs in California for how many years? And those teams didn't change their schedule one, but some of them were 7 o'clock kickoffs, Pacific time. So you get back home at 4 a.m. So, it's a night game, and Montana will get home late, but I think it's worth it for the atmosphere.
When you're looking at the 1 and 2 o'clock kickoffs, does it make a difference when you're a player and you got to sit around those extra few hours on a Saturday?
I just slept later when we had later game. I just stayed up later the night before and then slept later. And just so, because I mean, yeah, you can kind of, if you're up for too long, you just kind of think yourself in circles after too long.
Is it better they're at home and not at a hotel, probably?
Oh, for sure.
Much better. Yeah, you can move around town. I mean, go
It's
around
only
town,
so
hop
much-
in your car, go
Yeah.
get something. I mean, you can just kind of kill time and stuff, but
You're watched
sitting
pretty
in-
closely on the road too, right?
Yeah.
Sitting in those
Well-
hotels all day, that's not good for me.
We had the general keeping tabs on us
Yeah.
too in my day. So
Yeah, he was good at that job.
he was good
too.
at. He was really. We
Yeah.
called him the general for the reason. So
UND Football 360 pregame show podcast brought to you by Rumors Sports Bar, Grill and Casino, Kelly's favorite hangout. If you're in Grand Forks, you're probably there, right? Or
Correct.
at the Alara Center.
Yep, one of the two. That's about it these days. There's no reason to not
Your
go to
laptop
Rumors.
works at Rumors, right?
Right.
Yeah. Development Home Inc.'s gaming, simulcast, horse racing, Pulltabs, Blackjack, the Pig Wheel. They've got it all. Kelly Howe Agency, Nodak Insurance, the Toasted Frog, fine dining in downtown Grand Forks and Fargo. We got the 1883 Collective, which is the NIL arm for UND Athletics. And if you don't know much about that, I recommend you look into that more and give what you can, because it's a big part of college athletics right now. Interstate Industrial, steam cleaning and painting in the Bakken oil fields. Marty, Shaide, thank you so much. And American Solutions for Business, Tank McNamara, can help you out with all your promotional products and corporate apparel. Well, Montana is coming this week, but let's talk about Iowa State, guys. What did you guys learn about UND in that first game?
well, I thought we played pretty well for the most part. That's my overall impression of the game. I think we went down. It looked like we went to win the game. We weren't intimidated by Iowa State. We weren't intimidated by the fans by any means, and the larger crowd. So I thought that was really positive in our corner. I also like that our predictions last week. I thought our defense stood out. I think we played much better on defense than what I anticipated personally, and I thought that our defense was really kept the game tight. I mean, we got 3 and out. We got 3 and outs, and I was pleasantly surprised with their defense. Overall, I think it was a good performance.
Yeah, you can tell by our predictions last week that we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what was going to happen. Nobody knew what was going to happen. And I said that to multiple people this week. I said, I was wrong. I was just flat out wrong. I think after talking to some people up in Grand Forks, I think they knew what they had more than we knew what they had. There was a quiet confidence heading into the season that they think these kids, along the O-line, along the D-line, the secondary, they can work out. They're going to work out. They're going to come together, with Trevor Olson running the offensive line. We'll get more into that in a little bit, but yeah, it was what I liked about it though, is it was fundamental. You know what I mean? Fundamental football. There was the running game for Iowa State wasn't seeing huge holes where we had gap integrity issues.
Yeah, and then offensively, Iowa State had guys on their backs, and that was really promising.
Yeah,
to see.
it was
Our
fun to see,
offensive
yeah.
line. I mean, granted, it's a different look than what we're normally used to seeing, but we were physical up front.
Yeah, that was the equalizer. I think that what we didn't know about going in, it was the defense and the offensive line. Those were our 2 question marks coming into the season for us here. And I think we outperformed what our anticipations were. And I was happy. And watching that Iowa State game, it gives me a lot of, I'm excited about the rest of the season, because I think it's a great way to improve.
Looking at the drive charts is one thing. We all know about the 23 play, 88-yard drive that captivated the attention of social media. Everyone got a hold of that one. They're like,
at play 13, were you guys going, we need to score on this?
Right.
Yeah, right.
That's all I was thinking about. Like, keep it going, keep the ball out of their hands, but we need to get points on the board.
We need to get in the end zone. Yep, that was it. And we only got 3, but I'm looking at these other 10 plays, 39 yards, 23 plays, 88 yards, 8 plays, 35 yards, 14 plays, 59 yards. So we had multiple drives where we moved the ball. We just couldn't get in the end zone. Obviously, part of that, which people have to understand, if you watch the game, we talked about it last week. We said ISU is a 3-3-5 defense with 5 being defensive backs. So what they were doing is sitting back, and they were not bringing any pressure whatsoever. So it wasn't a huge surprise as the game went on that, Isaac Frichte wasn't going deep, because the one time they went deep, it got picked off. Well, Romfo got hit, but it got picked off, and you just couldn't go deep because they weren't going to let you. And we knew that going in, but it was extreme. I mean, we were talking about off air. They put 3 up front. Linebackers were cautious.
Yeah.
And then as the game went on, they kind of inched their way up, and it started to get a little tougher to run. But there was nothing downfield because Iowa State didn't let us get it.
Right.
And so it's going to be different this week. There's going to be plenty of chances downfield this week, and we'll get into that in our preview.
What area surprised you the most watching that game? Because, like we said, the game was full of surprises. Like, if you had to pinpoint one thing, and to me, I think it was the O-line.
Right.
Watching the push they got. I was really, really excited to see that for how many question marks we talked about there.
Right.
And to my recollection, I think we only had a couple breakdowns where our tackles kind of got off balance a little bit. Yeah. And we talked about it last week that they had dudes for defensive ends. And, we knew that they were going to be a force to be reckoned with. And they got a couple plays on us. They got to Romfo a couple times, got him sacked. Broke up that play for the interception, got in his face. So I think those 2 plays where he got sacked and then that interception play was where we really noticed their talent level too, and where they took advantage of our junior talent levels. But other than that, I think we really outperformed and we're pleasantly surprised. And there's only one way to go is we're going to improve every week, right?
Well, the 174 yards rushing, I mean, that was impressive. Big chunk runs. Some of them were on, non-typical running downs. I mean, we were getting yards, and it was good in that way. Pass protection, you're going to give that a C, C minus, because once again, they're new. Okay, they're new. We weren't good at protecting the passer last year.
No.
Okay, we had a veteran offensive line, and we didn't protect very well. We protected okay in this one at best. I know there was one sack where freshman Beecher on the left tackle gave up a sack. He just set up too wide. And I think you saw that one too.
Yeah,
the defensive end cut inside.
Yeah.
And I watched it back. I thought my first thought is, okay, did he think the guard was coming over to help? No, the protection was correct, but he just set up too wide. Well, it's because he's 19 years old and he's never played in a game before.
Right.
Let's understand these things, people. I mean, Jesus. It's like, and the same thing with, I put out the tweet. I felt like I had to calm people down about Romfo.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just calm down. He's never played before. He's never started. Okay. He's never started a game. Now he's starting at Iowa State in front of 56,000 people against a very good defense that runs a 3-3-5 unorthodox, game plan. So,
and it's not like he had a month to get ready for this. He didn't know he was going to be the starter, right?
Right. I mean, that's true. He had a couple weeks.
We just gotta understand. It takes time, and I thought he played okay. It's not like I'm sitting here making excuses for him playing poorly. He didn't play poorly.
No,
he took off running when he was supposed to. He got 44 yards rushing,
and he didn't look flustered when he did that. Right? He seemed in control when he had to get going. So
I think we want to get in the end zone more. 21-3. There's nothing to celebrate really. I think we're just happy, with the way they went about their business. The way they played and the way it was all the integrity up front on both sides of the ball was good. I really like the linebacker play. Solid. We figured that would be a strength, the inside linebackers, and Josh Navratil. He had a really nice game. Noticeable Lance Rucker. So there's our outside backers, right? We talked about, hey, we got to see more. Oh, there's two guys right there.
100%. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. We'd like to see him get in the end zone. We kicked the field goal attempt down 21-3, 7 minutes left. I sent out my thoughts on that. I mean, would it have made the difference in the game to make it 21-10? Maybe if you get lucky, but maybe Iowa State was probably just going to put the throttle down and maybe, start going again on you. And you don't know. But my point is it's more of a mentality, like, okay, hey, I know it's 4th and 15 from the 16-yard line, 21-3, 7 minutes left. Let's go for it. Let's go for the end zone. A 16-yard throw into the end zone can be quick. That can be on a line. You can get a one-on-one somewhere, in the end zone. I would have liked to seen just a mentality thing like that. Like, hey, we're going to go try to win this game. But, I mean, they kicked the field goal. We didn't make it, which is, I don't care that we didn't make it really because, yeah, whatever. I have my opinions. And here's what I do, Tank. I start going off on my rats.
Yeah.
You'll get used to it. Matt just sits back.
I just let him go.
That's why
I
we
let him
call
go.
this the Kelly Howe Agency game review, because
Right.
you can do what you need to do over there.
We go. Yeah.
What really stands out as, well, we need to get better this week?
Secondary play coverages. I mean, I think I don't know if it's necessarily, they can always get better. None of them played before.
Yeah.
We got 4 new starters there too. So I would say putting them in better position. There was a few coverages there I don't think we're going to work out real well. Like that seam route for the touchdown. I don't think the safety can get over there. It was a tough one. I think we had a linebacker trailing or something. It's just not going to work because it's so quick when you get down into the red zone, stuff like that. You put them in a better position. And, those kids battled though. I mean, Hembry, Bluette, the safeties, those 2 safeties,
And
Erkman, they never
like they
played
were going
before.
against cupcakes.
No.
Right? They had their hands full all day long.
Absolutely.
Those two are good. Those 2 receivers, Noel and Higgins, we knew they were good coming in while they were good. And
What was it? The first catch of the game?
Yeah. Play
Yeah.
2.
how about that picture of Russ Hans got of that?
And then seeing that, I was
Reaching
like,
over the back.
great, it's going to be one of those days, I thought. And then, we settled down and didn't get flustered.
Settled
after
down
that.
nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah. The defense, I thought, played solid. They were going to get beat. Obviously, the other team likes to make plays too. So, we're going to get beat at times. But they didn't get beat, real badly. I mean, it was just overall, my thoughts, I was encouraged for the rest of the season. Gonna leave it at that. And now we want to see more out of the offense because we're playing like opponents now, like defenses where let's see what we got downfield. Let's try to, with the running game, try to see what we can combine and get in the end zone. We just want more points,
One thing we can talk about too, we haven't, Isaac Frichty, his first game,
Right.
OC and D1. How do you think he fared?
I like the play calls. I like the tempo. I really liked taking our chances downfield. We went for it on 3rd and long. Kind of unorthodox. I think we ran it on 3rd down and I think we got one and we didn't get one on running on our run plays, but on 3rd down. But I like the mix that he wasn't afraid to do that because he knew our running backs are good and Isaiah's a good running back. So give it to him and let him make a play, right?
Good 1-3 punch out of those 3
right,
guys,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
they looked really good.
Yeah.
Those 3. Seidel, he was electric. That
Yeah.
one run he had out of the end zone, I remember. Jesus. I mean, I don't think Iowa State was ready for that because all of a sudden he was out of the end zone quick and got us out of trouble.
What did he get? Like 18 yards on that first
one?
one?
It was something like, I'm like, okay, well, he's not, I don't think from everything I've heard, he's not going to be our screen guy. I think Isaiah's our screen guy because he's natural catcher, and Z-Barth's the inside power guy. Yeah. And he was hammering away again.
He was. He had a good game.
Seidel's the guy you just, outside zone, you try to get him crease, that type of thing, find it and
watch him go.
Boy. Yeah. Geez. And returning kicks. He'll get more chance, now to return kicks and stuff. So yeah, I like the running backs. That's nothing but good things to say about that unit.
How about injuries? Who was it that was in a knee brace after the game?
Braden Moore.
Yeah.
Defensive end. Yeah.
That looked bad when that happened.
The way he's braced up, the way they were checking it out, the way he walked off, they walked with him.
Yeah.
It's never good. Usually that way, you got to hope for the best is what you got to hope for. Typically in those things from over the years, we followed up with these on this show for so many years that they would know, I'm guessing by today, they know, and they're hoping. You got to hope one of the major tendons is intact. And probably, if another one tore, maybe be the MCL, a smaller one. And then you got some hope. That's what we got to hope for. But that kid was bad. He had a great spring, great summer, and he was freshman. He was primed to play all season along next to Jack Tyken. We talked about him the preseason, so that's what stinks. I mean, it's just those injuries, and this is just, it's tough for these kids, especially when they're such good kids and they work so hard. And then the first game of the year. Have you guys seen any other?
No, I think we're pretty healthy.
Yep, I don't think much. I mean, I think Iowa State, they had a few guys that got banged up, but I think we made it out. I think we made it out okay, which is good.
And that's kind of what you worry about when you play up with the FBS, isn't it?
Right.
Like, let's just come out of it, get the paycheck, see what we can do, and come out as healthy as possible, right? And what did we get for that game?
Oh boy, I didn't
it was
track.
over
Was it
over
550?
over 500, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's about standard rate.
I never really checked. I should check.
I think there's some that are paying now over $1 million right now, and it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, it's inching up every year, and then I think they put their ahead of time, but these ADs, I think they gotta project inflation, so you'll see like 2027 625,000. So I think they must have a little,
what do they know that we don't? Is that the inflation rate? Is that what it's going to be in 4 years from now?
Seems like it. Well,
the way we're going.
Right.
Well, I think we all were happy with week 1, and let's put that one behind us and look ahead to week 2. Hey, look at that. It's time now for the Development Homes 360 guest, and we're happy to have Frank GOGOLA on the line from the MISSOULIAN and 406 MT Sports. Frank, I forgot to ask you before we started, I get your last name right?
Yes, you did.
All right. You've been covering Grizz for over 5 years, and the number 4 ranked team in the country. Not a bad gig when the team's doing well, right?
No, it's quite fun to cover them. It's quite the turnaround from where they were as a program the last time the Grizz made the trip out there to Grand Forks.
Right. Yeah, that was a good one actually for UND. If I recall, that was the 2018. I think Bobby Houck's first year. UND jumped on them early, and this Grizz team's a little different than that one, though. Little different animal coming to Grand Forks than that one. But I wanted to first jump into last week's game. Give us your thoughts on the Missouri State game last week. Heck of a game to watch. We were talking about it off air. It was just a fun opening football game of the year. Montana pulls away. Were you surprised with anything you saw with Missouri State, with Montana, just the way the game played out?
Well, I think the thought out here was it wouldn't be as competitive of a game as it ended up being. I think I picked the Grizz to win by a couple scores, but they were missing 3 All-American players. Arguably their best overall player in Junior Bergen, who's All-American return man, All Big Sky wide receiver, then missing their All-American linebacker in Riley Wilson, and All-American tight end in Cole Grossman. So there's a lot of key pieces to be missing, a lot of guys who are expected to be big playmakers this year, but they really showed the depth they have and their resiliency to bounce back from some early mistakes in that game and come back and be able to tough out that 29-24 win.
Frank, this is Matt. The 3 guys not playing is a question mark for us, but the other question mark was the quarterback position. K. Ali Ayat and Logan Fife, it seemed like they rotated in and out a few times, and then they went to Logan Fife, and he ended up winning the game for them. Any insight on that? Are they just kind of testing the waters with both quarterbacks so far, or is it going to be one guy from here on out?
Well, so Kaylee Ayat played the first half and the first drive of the second half, and then Logan Fife played the rest of the game after that. Each of them finished with exactly 90 passing yards, both showed some ability to run the ball, and they each led at least one scoring drive with the Grizz trailing Missouri State on the scoreboard. So they both showed an ability to rally the team. Both of them on the 2 deep this week, again, listed with an or. And, this was something the Grizz did last year, also playing multiple quarterbacks to start the year with Clifton McDowell and Sam Vidlac. And they did that for basically all of non-conference before they got into their first Big Sky game, rotating guys, letting them play. And it was the plan they had was this time around was very similar to how they handled things last year. So see if that continues again during non-conference play. But just from watching the quarterbacks, I think they've got 2 great options there. And it feels to me like just the quarterback spot at a better point at this point in time than where they were last year. And we saw how last year ended up for them once they finally selected a quarterback and picked one and let him be the guy throughout the rest of the season.
Frank, real quickly, going back to the 3 guys that were out last week, are they going to play this week? Are they making the trip? Do you know?
I have not been out to practice yet this week, but I am going today, and we'll be able to get some eyes on who's all practicing.
Okay, so yeah, Riley Wilson, you mentioned him, the linebacker, very, very good player. Obviously missing, on the inside there. But Junior Bergen being out, game breaker, total difference maker. If I'm seeing this correctly, after watching that game, though, they're certainly not shorthanded at wide receiver, even if he doesn't play. I mean, would that be safe to say, Frank?
Definitely, yeah. They've got what coaches going back to last year and this year have called the best wide receiver room in the Big Sky, and I think Ryan Baird at Missouri State said they were possibly the best wide receiver group in the FCS. Now, obviously, that's including Junior Bergen, who kind of headlines that room, but you throw in guys like Keelan White and Aaron Fonts as your other 2 starters, and then we saw Xavier Harris, who's almost a 1,500-yard rusher. I mean, they're just loaded at running back, so he's moved over to wide receiver, playing in the slot, and he had the top game among the receivers in the opener. And then you add in a Washington transfer and Sawyer Racanelli, who came up in clutch moments last year, and he could go 6-7 deep, and they certainly rotated guys in there throughout the game last week.
Switching sides of the ball, defensively now, it appears they run a bit of a 3-3 look up front, maybe morph into a 4-man. Big guys along the defensive line, and they seem to really want to bring a lot of pressure, a lot of movement up front with some angles and twists, that type of thing. Similar to what UND plays that way too up front. Who are some players that the UND fans could look out for, especially up front, that seem to really wreak havoc in that Grizz defensive line?
Yeah, they do run that 3-3-5 stack defense, which Bobby Howe has been running since he returned to Montana in 2018. He kind of learned that while he was down at San Diego State as their special teams coordinator. He learned that from Rocky Long down there. Someone who really flashed and had a big game in the opener was defensive end Hayden Harris. Just career game for him with 3 TFLs, 2.5 sacks. It's a guy who transferred in from UCLA ahead of the 2023 season, and it kind of took him a while to get going, but just a massive opener for him. And, this is really a very rebuilt defense. They lost multiple key starters at every level of the defense. And we really saw they kind of, after making their national title run, were able to bring in some pretty high-profile transfers and guys who picked the Grizz over multiple FBS offers. So I'm looking at guys to watch, like by Howe at linebacker, at San Diego State transfer. Pat Hayden, came in and has slid in right at nose tackle for Alex Gubner, who was the Big Sky Defensive Player of the Year last year, and he came in from Monmouth. And then Andre Salerman, another grad transfer who came in from the MVSC out there at Youngstown State, and all of them had big statistical outings in their first game.
Looking ahead to this week, have you been able to sense a feeling out there in Montana, heading to Grand Forks? They know it's a very tough environment. I'm sure Bobby Houck's been there. They got a feeling like coming off last week. Is there uncertainty? Or are they still, does it feel like the Grizz program is to the point now where they went to Frisco last year? These games are just part of the deal. They look big picture, and they're a confident bunch heading up to Grand Forks.
Yeah, I would say Bobby Houck seemed pretty relaxed at his post-game presser, and then talking again with him on Monday. I think, obviously there's a lot to correct, like third downs were not a great area for them. Tackling was not a great area for them, but, they've gotten to this point in their program with the depth they have that, that it's something, I think they played at least 20 guys on defense. So yeah, it looks like your kind of typical opener where you're playing a lot of guys, seeing what you have on the team. So even though there were some mistakes, it's things they can correct. And then they kind of, hone in on who's going to be playing a bit more bigger role, but you got to see them in a game for the first time. I know they're certainly excited to see another MVFC team. It's been a while since that trip out to North Dakota in 2018, and just even since playing the UND at all, that none of the guys on this team have been there before. And I was going through the coaches. I think only 3 coaches on the staff were on that 2018 team that went out there. But Bobby Houck certainly remembers that game because he brought it up unprompted in his opener to his presser and talked about it. So I'm sure he's excited to get out there and try to avenge that loss.
Frank, one last question for you. The college athletics in general is changing so fast. The 1883 Collective, the NIL arm for UND Athletics, proud sponsor of this 360 podcast. But it's hard not to think of Montana when you say FCS football. Where is Montana with all this right now? You mentioned some guys that turned down some other offers. Did that have anything to do with it? Are you guys a little ahead of the game for FCS right now?
Well, they have had what is they call the good old GRIZZLIES collective. They've had that for quite a few years. I mean, they were kind of right on it, right when it started, or when NIL, became a thing you could go after. So they've certainly been after that. I mean, right away, guys on the team were jumping at NIL opportunities. One that comes to mind is Junior Bergen, a guy who certainly had a ton of FBS interest this past off season, and was able to get some NIL deals. I mean, he's probably right up there with the most NIL deals. I mean, they got NIL deals for, group of 5 players who are all in the business college have a specific deal. So I think that definitely has to help. And you look across the athletic department, it's not just football. There's other players in other sports getting NIL deals. Even the Grizz women's soccer team, which is very regionally competitive program. I mean, they even have their own team-wide NIL deal, which is kind of interesting, and I haven't heard a ton of for things like that. So, just with how, ravenous the fans are at Montana, it's not surprising to me that they've kind of stepped up and supported that effort.
Definitely a different world we're living in, and each year it gets different and more wilder and wilder. But we're looking forward to Saturday, Frank. I hope you enjoy your trip to North Dakota. Grand Forks is always a fun time this year in the Allaire Center. I'm sure the atmosphere is going to be fantastic, and we should be in for a great game. I hope you enjoy it, Frank.
All right.
This is the UND Football 360 pregame show podcast, and right now it's time to look ahead. It's the Toasted Frog 360 game preview, and we are looking ahead to Montana. The Grizz coming to the Allaire Center Saturday night, 6 o'clock pregame. God, what if they opened the tailgate lot at 6 in the morning? Wouldn't that be great?
Would anybody make it to the game? I don't.
Do we know what time the lot opens?
I think
11. Yeah,
11. Oh boy,
that's early.
That's
I mean,
still a long time.
In my younger days, I would have been there at 11.
You're right.
Okay, I can guarantee you I'd have been there at 11.
Don't lie, you would have been there at 8, so waiting to get in.
Yeah, sitting behind the barricade, waiting. Yep.
Well, we look at Montana. They beat Missouri State last week, 29-24. I thought that'd be a little higher score, didn't you, Kelly?
Yeah, it was interesting game. Missouri State is better than they're supposed to be. I think they're picked 9th in the Missouri Valley. They're better than the 9th team in the Missouri Valley because they look pretty good. They always bring in transfers, and I think that's part of it.
I was just going to say, did they hit the transfer portal again?
Yeah, they look pretty
50
good.
Guys.
Yeah. It's not as bad, I think, as when Petrino was there, but it's they brought in guys, which they had to do, but they look pretty good. Their D line was stout, and they were pushing guys back on the interior. Yeah, I was impressed by I think Montana was surprised too. I think it took them a little while. It obviously took them about 3 quarters. But they end up pulling away late at 29-24 win for Montana. But it was probably a eye opener. I mean, it's not the best thing for UND, I guess, that they got their eye opener. I wish they'd have showed up, at the Allaire Center. But I was impressed. It was a good football game. Great to watch on TV, back and forth. Montana asserted itself late. Started to come up with some plays and got 3 sacks, I think it was, on the final drive to kind of end the thing. But yeah, I don't think we got Missouri State this year, do we?
I would know.
Yeah, we don't have them, so that's good. Because
you think Montana's experience kind of took over at the end?
Yeah, I think so. Winning
too much for him.
Yeah, winning mentality. Well, and it was close. I mean, it's not like, I'm not going to sit here and say Missouri State faltered or, I think just being at home in a winning program, they just made a few more plays and, got in the end zone and then held on, and, credit to them. They won the game late, but they were losing for a decent part of it. And Missouri State was moving the ball. They were confident unit out there. They had a good game plan too. Big running back, big physical running back. Jeez, he was good. But it was a fun football game to watch, but it was good to see what we're up against, because Montana has talent. When you watch them out there, they got good looking guys. And like we said, the 50-yard line test, I say every year, look left, look right. And I think Montana's going to win this week because they got some good look, especially on the D line, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Well, let's talk about the defense, because it is a similar look to what we saw last week at Iowa State, but it looks like they're going to mix it up a lot more than Iowa and probably bring more people and have more people in the box for that running game.
Yeah, I think, now they got tape on UND. So I think what before we get into the Montana defense, what I'm sensing out of Grand Forks right now is we are going to run the ball straight ahead, and we are going to try to maul you, and that's it. And if it doesn't work, then they're going to have to come up with something else, run some RPO, stuff like that. But I think that's what Frickty and Trevor Olson are installing this year. Is Danny had the inside running game going well last year, but it was with movements and shifting, and it was different. But they still would just plow straight ahead. I think this year it's going to be more deliberate. I think they're just going to tell you, these guys along the O-line, we're counting on you to beat your guy and push him down the field. Okay, thanks. Let's go. There's no two ways about it. They're just going to make it I mean, did you get that feeling that last week?
A little bit, and
Oh.
and that's comforting to know that that's our mentality too, where it's that gives your O-line some confidence, where you get to pin your ears back and decomplicate some things and just let the guys go and play football. So that's exciting because I think our running game, our inside game, has gradually improved, and maybe this is the one final piece that we needed, where straight head Missouri Valley Conference football, and we're just going to pin our ears back.
And speaking of which, now UND's O-line coach Joe Pavlik went to Montana last year, right? So he'll give him some insight on the players. There's something to be said for that. He'll go, this guy can do this. This guy, moves his feet well. This guy doesn't. That type of thing. But from everything I was told in the off season, the reason why Bobby Howe called up to Grand Forks and wanted to speak to Joe Pavlik is because he wants to run a Missouri Valley offense. That's what he wants to get to. He knows he can't win if you don't play like South Dakota State and NDSU and, the Missouri Valley teams are playing. He knew that, and he came out and basically said it. Hey, I want to change our mentality up front. I want to try to maul some guys, and we can do you can always do your other stuff. But if you don't have that base to lean on, that's when teams get in trouble. You can't hang in the playoffs. You can't, and that's what UND's wanted to get to, and they're getting closer, but they haven't quite got there. And I think that's what Houck wants to go to, is that same thing that I just spoke about, to where he has physical, mean offensive linemen, and he wanted an O-line coach who could teach that. And that's kind of what, Pavlik did at UND last year. So yeah, it'd be interesting dynamic, because that's what they want to do. Now, last week they had 130 some yards rushing last week against Missouri State, but it's a work in progress.
You got to get the right personnel in there, right?
Well, and teach them. Yeah, and teach them and see what they're made of, that type of thing. But I thought that was an interesting little tidbit, is how they know, Montana, they made the national championship game last year, so they know they're close. They know Montana, we're here, we're close, but we know who we have to beat is the point. So yeah, it was interesting. But hey, no, defensively though, I got off topic. Defensively, Montana, Tank, you brought it up, 3-3. Looks like a 3 down. They'll morph to a 4 down, but on paper they line up with the 3-3-5 type of thing, but it's the opposite of Iowa State. It's twisting, stunting, bringing linebackers and all gaps. They're moving all over the place, kind of like we.
Right,
like
exactly
UND.
like us. And then that's where that Big Sky Conference defense kind of comes into play, where when we were back in the Big Sky, we saw stunting, and things got kind of, because you had these wide open offenses, and that West Coast offense style was notorious in the Big Sky. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of that, and that's how you play defense against that too, is just try to get to the quarterback and try to throw the offense off.
With our young offensive line, this will be a bigger test then, because they got to be on the same page when they don't know where stuff is coming from. So does that worry you a little bit with the youth up front?
Yeah, that's a good point, Tank.
We might see some some gaps that some areas that we missed the guy coming through, the stunting, the twisting. We're going to see all of that this week. So so Montana might pick up on that. Watching the Iowa State game, okay, we got, these tackles got a little wide here. We think this is an opportunity. We'll run this play here on this short yardage play. And so I think Montana's going to take advantage of our youth on the O-line and take advantage of some of those guys.
I suppose the nice part about that is we're at home and not in front of 24,000 people
100%,
trying to communicate up front.
We just got to remember to be quiet when we're on offense, so we can methodically think through things.
Tell the
and
guy running the music too. Play a little something calmer when we're on offense.
Right,
I
don't think you got the memo last year
when we're on offense. Yeah.
Just when we're there on offense. When we're on offense, just hit pause.
Let the band play when we're on offense. A little in between music. So.
You think so? No, but well, look at the box score from last week. I mean, they want to create a little chaos up front, and they want to use their talented.
Well, they got 4 sacks.
Defensive line, 10 TFLs. That's the number I'm looking at. So, like, back to your point, there's going to be leakage. They're going to get through, and they're going to make a few plays. Just stick with the game plan and know that's a nice thing about if you want to run inside zone, outside zone. UND is going to run every zone you got this week because that's what you want to do. You catch them going one way, you just go, and it's up to the running back to figure out where the hole is now becoming. That's how it works against these teams. UND's done that for years. UND defensive line, twists, stunts. Teams started going to zone. Protections will be huge in this one for UND. I could see them. We're going to have to protect a little more. I don't think we're going to send 4 down the field a whole lot. I don't know why. There would be no reason to, because you wouldn't be able to get very far down the field before you had to get rid of it. So, slide protect. Like what teams did against UND in the Big Sky is they figured out Northern Arizona was the king of it. Slide protect, when you swipe the tight end across to pick up it was an insert the tight end. And so you're blocking with 7. And you'd send, you keep a running back in, and you'd send 2, maybe 3 downfield, and UND couldn't get there. So we're bringing all this pressure, and we could never get there. And Northern Arizona figured it out years ago, and they were getting after us. Well, it was the game 2016 when we came back. We were down big, and Deion Harris picked that one off to win it. And we ended up winning the Big Sky Championship. But in that game, we couldn't get to him. That little lefty quarterback, he just stood back there and was just carving us up because, the slide protection. I think that's what UND, if they want to go, let Bo work, let Caden Dennis work, let these guys work one-on-one, because that's what you're going to get. If a team brings pressure, well, they can't cover with safeties downfield. It's going to be one-on-one.
So I was thinking, last week we talked about maybe week 2. We're a little more worried about week 2 than Iowa State. Do you guys feel a little better going into week 2 after what we saw?
Yeah,
much better.
I saw what I needed to see in week 1 against Iowa State. I think it's a great way to it was a great benchmark against a good opponent in the Big 12, and I think it's a great platform to be able to build and improve upon. And that's where a lot of your improvement happens, is between week 1 and week 2. Okay, you start to gel a little bit, and then you get rid of all the distraction of playing a Big 12 opponent, and then now you're at home, first home game. It's exciting for the players to just kind of relax a little bit and then come home, play football.
Yeah, this Montana defense, guys. Just looking at my notes here, they start 10 seniors.
Ooh,
yeah.
And
veteran unit.
In the national champmpionship game last year.
Yeah,
right?
They got some experience. So yeah, it's a good unit, good players. Their defensive line is just, they got a few guys that are big guys. I got to look at the
just to your point, Kelly, 10 tackles for loss for 38 yards, and then 4 sacks for 27 yards, and 4 quarterback hurries. So they get in your face quick, and then they're in the backfield in a hurry.
Ramfo's going to have to run.
Yeah.
He's going to have to run.
There'll be opportunities for him, though, because of that. There'll be opportunities if he can pick up.
And that'll be exciting to see, right?
He has the ability to do that.
We haven't really seen this on a regular basis for a while, right?
It'll be interesting. Guy to watch, though, number 48. Well, if you guys noticed him last week, Hayden Harris, big defensive end. I think transfer out of UCLA, 6'5", 3 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks last week.
Yeah, he had half the.
Yeah, something's gotta happen with UND. Early downs. Okay, we do what we do, but if we get ourselves backed up on 3rd and long, they got to make some decisions. Isaac Frichty's got to make some decisions here. We can't let guy. We got a freshman left tackle. They're going to notice that on tape, and they're going to be figuring out ways on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 to get him loose. He was a big Vi Cajo, number 0. He was another one, made a bunch of plays last week. I'm like, there's going to be a lot of chaos up front, and it'll be interesting to see, because it's the opposite. Like we said last week, Iowa State was 3 down and just came straight ahead. This week, it's going to be twisting, stunting all over the place. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see this, if we can take the next step in this one offensive wise.
Quarterback wise for Montana, what are we going to see? They've got 2 guys on their depth charts, one of those or positions. Are we going to see them both?
I think so. They saw them both last week. Yeah, was in. They had KLE Ayat. Clifton McDowell, the quarterback from last year, transferred out. I think he was going to go to Temple. Temple dropped him. Something fell apart there. He ended up at McNeese. So you go from Montana starting to McNeese. That's not a good move, and whatever. But he was good. He's a good player. They ran him though. So he was their running. Once they inserted him, he didn't start the year, but once they inserted him, their running game took off. Their offense took off. And he left in the offseason. Now it seems like they're kind of in ID mode again here, trying to figure out what they got. Ayat started the game. He played, let's call it roughly half the game, maybe a little more. Logan Fife, the transfer, a 6'4", 205 kid, transfer from Fresno State. He came in and pretty much finished it. Played well. He won the game, and I don't know. I just don't know if they know what they got yet, because they did this last year. They started a different kid, and down at Northern Arizona, they just got pounded and they looked terrible. And then I think they made the move to McDowell, and it changed their season around. They went to the national championship. I'm getting those vibes again, where I don't think they know who's number one, so they're going to play them both and just ride the hot hand. Neither are very big guys, both 6 foot, 6'2" range. But yeah, it seemed like Ayat could move around a little bit. Yeah, he looked all right. Quick kid, but Fife, he's got the experience because he played at Fresno State.
The nice thing if you're a Montana quarterback is you got a couple guys you can throw the ball to.
Yeah, we're gonna have our hands full with
Yes,
Harris this week. Xavier Harris, he looked good.
Yeah.
One touchdown.
Keelan White, 6'2",
69.
180. He didn't do as much last week, but he was there. He was good last year. Obviously, Junior Bergen was out week 1. He's there. He's probably the most dynamic player in the country. He was out last week. They say ankle, whatever, but it's something. But I don't know. I don't know if you bring him back for this one, but it's if it truly is an ankle, that's close. I don't know if you bring him back for this type of game, but then again, you don't want to drop this game either because it would hurt your resume for later. So I don't know. That'd be a difference because he's their kick return. He's their returner, and he's the best returner in the country. So that changes things there too. So I don't know if I haven't heard anything.
If you're Montana, would you bring him back?
Well, we don't know. I mean,
I know, but no,
50,
you.
50,
if it were you,
if it's 50-50, yeah, probably in this one. You got to win this game. You don't want to drop this one, and then all of a sudden, you drop one to Montana State or SAC during the year, and all of a sudden you have 2 losses and you're out of, you're a lower seed type of thing, just thinking big picture. They plan on being back in Frisco. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if he's there, because that's the guy. That's their guy, and that's the guy everyone has to worry about. I mean, we certainly, if Junior Bergen's on the field, we certainly aren't leaving our first-year corners on an island with them, are we? I mean, I don't think so, but you never know. But yeah, they got playmakers, and they'll go downfield too. So I think the key if you're a Fighting Hawks fan is defending the deep ball this week. I think they're going to run the ball. They're going to get some yards on the ground because they're good at running it. Gilman, they're running back. We recruited him hard. We were in the final. I think we were in the final 2 or 3. I remember he put something out, and Montana got him, and we wanted him pretty bad. I mean, how nice. We'd have Gilman besides either of the running backs we had too. He's good.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah. But he's a heck of a player.
Yeah, he ran for 90 yards last week, 15 attempts. Didn't lose too much yardage, so he's straight ahead and falls forward. So
yeah,
are they going to be able to push us around up front? Did they impress you up front?
Well, yeah, they can.
Obviously, we talked about they're changing things up front now, but
they'll get some stuff. Yeah, I mean, they're big. They're big kids up front, veteran group, juniors and seniors. So yeah, I mean, Montana's going to get some stuff up front. There's no doubt. I'm not, our D line isn't a dominant physical D line, but we're going to try to get by them. I think they had a few issues last week. I remember at right guard got pushed around a little bit, got backed up, but that was also the defensive end across from him was a monster, just wrecking stuff in there. So I don't know if we have that type of player who will do that. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I just, once again, we're sitting here just like last week. We don't know how it's going to go down. And this week we have a better idea. We're more confident in UND, but how does it translate to, a top 3 team in the country? Jeez, I don't know. Once again, I think I got to watch another week before I get more confident in what UND can do.
Yeah, I think it's a good setup for us. I think just being at home with the type of situation that Montana's in right now, and if they don't have their couple guys that will help them, I think it's slanting more towards in our favor personally.
Well, we could say there is some talk that maybe not everyone will be making the trip for various reasons, and we don't know who that's going to be.
There's a couple guys. There's a couple guys that
Right.
they're star players that are questionable. I don't know what the reasons are, but they didn't play last week, and if they make the trip this week, that would certainly be a game changer for them. Where I'd be like, I don't know if this is looking too good for us.
I think this is one where special teams has to jump up again, just like the NDSU game last year. You know, you return a kick, you block a punt, things like that, big punt return, something to get because the fans are going to be juiced. So we know that. It's going to be a big crowd. Fans are going to be juiced.
Lots of Montana people too.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a close game for them. I mean, they'll be coming over, traveling across North Dakota to watch us. So,
oh yeah, it'll be a very, very fun atmosphere. I mean, I think the hype I'm feeling is, not quite the NDSU game last year, but it's there because it's the home opener and everybody knows Montana's good. So, the Alaris Magic.
Let's do our job. On first down, let's get up out of our seats and cheer, right?
Yeah.
On defense. We don't have to wait till third down.
Might as well be yelling
let's
on
do
first
it right
down.
away. And because it makes a difference.
False starts.
Huge difference in that.
Well, as soon as the fans too realize that the other team got a false start, we're making a difference. Now they're getting louder.
And let's start building that so it's every game up as soon as our defense takes the field, and it's going to make it tough for them to communicate. We've seen many good offenses come in and struggle with the noise, especially early on. So,
well, UND wins in the Alaris Center. That's for sure.
I always love it when the quarterback puts his hands over his ear holes, trying to be able to hear the microphone inside. So that's the telltale sign if you're not loud enough,
or trying to communicate with the O-line.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
It's not going anywhere. So, do you guys have a gut feeling on your predictions? You ready? This early in the week?
I think I might be dialed in. Yeah. Who's going first? Wait a minute. Who won or lost last week?
I don't know. I did 38-17. What'd you do?
I think offensively we all missed quite.
Right. Yeah.
We're all way over.
Yeah.
I was thinking 28-24 UND. Why not?
24 Hawks. Yeah. I could see that. I mean, I think there'll be some points. We scored 3. So now I'm pausing again because we only scored 3. But, you're going to see a different playbook this week than you saw last week.
And at home.
Yeah, and at home, and not outdoors, 87 degrees on grass. It'll be a little different. Geez, Matt,
I'm going with that home opener luck. It's going to be on our side.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a tight ball game. I don't be surprised if we might be down at halftime on this one though, because I think they could come out and wheel and deal and get a jump on us just as good as any team. So I think it's going to be a slugfest in the first quarter. I think it's going to be whoever makes a first mistake is going to come up on top by halftime. So I wouldn't be surprised if we might be down by a score at halftime. But I think just with being at home, our guys being able to settle in, and then we still have that swagger of playing at home. We're really good at the Alaris Center. And even when we had some down years, it's like, okay, we got these guys at home. We have a chance. On the road, we don't have a chance. So there is something to say about that. But I'm thinking 31-28 UND. It'll come down to the fourth quarter. I think we'll have to test our kickers this week.
Don't say 7-3.
Don't
make us look bad.
Right.
4-3.
You guys are way off.
How'd you get 4?
2-0.
Yeah, 2 safeties this week.
I think the early line I saw Montana's favored by 4.5, which makes sense. I believe it. Anything different might be a surprise, but I'm torn. I go back and forth just because, Montana still seems, just after watching last week, it still seems like they're trying to figure out their identity on offense, which is understandable. UND's trying to figure out their identity on offense, which is understandable. And defensively, I think we know what UND brings. I think we know what Montana brings. So it's like the defenses are kind of settled in, but the offenses are finding their way. And I don't quite see it as high scoring this week. I know I've been very wrong before, but I think the homer in me is going to come out. I think UND can win this one just because it's at home and they're close. I mean, they're close. They're not as talented as Montana. No, they're not. No, they're just not. Montana's good. They were in the national championship last year for a reason.
And they returned a lot of their guys. So.
Right, a lot. And so
what's your score?
But it's early. But then I'm thinking, okay.
He's sandbagging.
Yeah,
He's
sandbagging. Okay, here's a 24-23 Ox.
Ooh.
Late field goal puts us up. Crowd goes crazy. They get the ball back. Minute and change left.
You can't copy me.
We stop them. 24-23.
Unlike a big sack.
Yeah, but it's field goal comment.
No, to win it.
Oh,
late.
to win it.
And
late.
they get the ball back.
Oh, okay.
And we get a stop. I mean, I'm adding details here, that how exactly it's going to play out. And then, but they have to get in field goal range. You get a fourth down stop. And that's what I'm envisioning.
If that's the case, I'm having extra Pepto for breakfast on Saturday. Make it through that fourth quarter.
Yeah, we'll see. But it's going to be fun. Regardless, Grand Forks is going to enjoy Saturday. It's going to be a fun
nice day, too, I think.
Season
70s.
opener. Yeah, we haven't lost at home on a home opener since 1986. Had a good showing in Ames last week. We want to bring it home against the number 4 team in the country. We're going to need the fans there loud the entire game. Pre-game tailgating opens at 11. There's no reason for you not to be there on a Saturday. We are looking forward to it. Thanks to all of our sponsors, Rumors Sports Bar, Grill and Casino, Development Homes, Inc., Kelly Howe Agency, Nodak Insurance, the Toasted Frog, Fine Dining in downtown Grand Forks and Fargo, the 1883 Collective, that NIL arm for UND Athletics, Interstate Industrial, steam cleaning and painting in the Bakken oil fields, Marty Shaide, and American Solutions for Business. Take McNamara with all your promotional product and corporate apparel needs. Let's get to Saturday. I can't wait any longer.
Go Hawks.
6 o'clock kickoff. Montana, UND. Should be a fun one. Thanks for joining us.